This is Hunt Nebraska, the official podcast for insight into Nebraska's hunting and shooting sports community. Be sure to give us a follow on Facebook, our space for sharing stories, information, tips, and techniques. Now, Hunt Nebraska. And welcome into the Hunt Nebraska cabin. Hello, wherever you might be taking us. We appreciate going for the ride. This is actually a joint thing. This is something we've never, ever done before because I'm Hershey, the only one in here from the Hunt Nebraska crew. But we have Julia Plugi from She Goes Outdoors. This is kind of a joint podcast.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited for it. Yeah.
Now, if this works out, you do realize this means it'll cut our workload in half. We'll kind of be sharing that type of stuff. So maybe Brilliant. She Goes Outdoors can be the audio. We've got the YouTube channel for Hunt Nebraska, which probably has not helped our listenership at all, having to look at us while they listen. But this is kind of a fun one because this is something that both of us wanted to get on air and get out there. We've got Megan Wright. What's your official title, Megan?
It's not Megan Wright anymore.
It's Megan Price now.
Well,
for a few months now.
I'm just trying to go with the name tag. It says Columbia, but I wasn't going to go with that.
Nope, that's not right.
That's right. You got married.
Yes. Yep.
Does that play into this conversation at all?
Well, we've been going for a few years. So before we were, I think it was before we were engaged. I think we went. So.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember.
All right. Well.
We'll lean into that.
We're just going to stick with Megan. How about that? We got Megan, who is one of our key members here at the Turpin Outdoor Education Center, which is a whole nother episode in and of its own and all the things that you guys do out here. But you just got back from a big bear hunt.
I did, yeah.
Now, is this considered a summer bear hunt then?
Nope, spring. It's still considered spring.
It's considered spring.
Yep.
Wow.
It goes, and it ends actually, end of June is when it ends for us. I think
I'm going to move you up a little bit closer to the microphone here.
How do I move it?
Oh, you can just get closer to it.
Okay.
There you
Perfect.
go. So this is a spring bear hunt.
Yep.
And let's set the stage here a little bit. How many years have you been doing this?
So this was our third year hunting. Yep.
Okay.
Specifically for black bears. So.
And outside the state of Nebraska, because as you know, Julia, we don't have a black bear season here.
Oh, good reminder. Good
state
reminder.
Of Nebraska, but we're open to all those fun things on both Hunt Nebraska and She Goes Outdoors.
Absolutely.
So what state are we talking about?
So we hunted in Idaho, specifically northern Idaho.
Northern Idaho. Been going there for 3 years.
Yep.
Now, is this an over-the-counter bear tag or is this something you have to apply for?
Yep. Nope. Over the counter.
Oh.
Yep.
What interested you in going the first year? What was it that you attracted? Did you have some family or friends out there that had done it before?
Yeah, so my husband, well, now he's my husband. At the time, we were dating, I believe. And he had gone 2 years prior to me going for the first time. And I think him and his buddy just kind of decided, like, it'd be really cool to hunt black bears. And so they did a bunch of research on where to go, what units, prices of tags, and they came across a unit where they offer, you can get a second tag for that unit, and there's like kind of a discounted price. And so they figure, well, there's going to be a bunch of black bears there. So they went up that first year, had no idea what they were doing. I think they actually went in May rather than June. They get up there, there's snow on the mountain still.
Ooh.
And yeah.
Bird.
Yeah, I think it was pretty cold. They meet a guy who's from Idaho, and he kind of, gave them the rundown of how it all works. And he's like, yeah, and you guys are not going to see any bears like this year. They're still hibernating. Yeah. So good luck, but you're going to fail pretty much. Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
So, but first, before we go, what is the difference between over the counter for our new listeners and what would be the different option?
A draw. So I believe if you draw, you have to apply for it ahead of time, whereas we just, specifically this year, we sent our check into Idaho Game and Fish, and they sent us the tags, and we didn't have to apply ahead of time or anything. So
is that one? I wonder if that one of the only states that has that option? Because most of the time I hear of draws.
I don't know when it comes to bears. I'm sure there are spots. We had Hunter Nikolai, who was our hunter education coordinator here in Nebraska, that had to apply several years to get his Wisconsin black bear permit. But I'm guessing Wisconsin compared to Idaho and some of those western states, fewer black bears. I don't know. I guess I haven't tried. Have you gone?
I have not. I
haven't even tried.
I love hearing the stories. I haven't tried either. Yeah. I've had bear meat.
Which can be good, but it's kind of, I see it as a western, northern, and then you dip down into the southeast states that have some black bear.
Yeah, one of the Carolinas actually is where they get the biggest because they don't hibernate. So they get really big.
Keep
Either
eating.
Yeah, South or North Carolina. I don't know which one. They have the biggest.
Those are the two options.
Yeah, one of them. They have the biggest, so that's where you want to go if you want a really big black bear. But
well, and anywhere out west, I just think of mountainous, and part of the adventure is the hunt itself.
Absolutely.
Getting into that environment and giving it a go. Probably were you on public land or private?
Yeah, so we're in national forest. So,
Okay, public.
Yep, public, yep.
That's pretty cool. So when they started, when you guys got married or just before,
Yep.
was it one of those things that, hey, I want to try black bear? Did it take some persuading?
It didn't take any persuading. He had gone one of the years that we were dating, and I told him, like, next year I want to go with you. And that year they were all successful. All three of them had shot bears, so I knew that they at least figured out what they're doing, and now I want to go.
Don't go while they're hibernating. It's probably rule number one.
Yep.
That is interesting. Now, when they were successful, I assume they went later?
Yeah, so they realized that they needed to go more towards June rather than in May. In that area, that the snow was just still on the mountain at that time. So,
any idea what the season runs? Obviously, from May until the end of June.
End of June.
End of June. Okay.
For our unit, I don't know. I think there's different time.
Sure.
For
okay.
different units.
Different units, different season dates.
Seasons,
and
yes.
that type of stuff.
Dates,
All right. So I got to know this, Julia. Have you ever had an interest in hunting black bear?
I think it'd be fun. Yeah. I mean, I definitely would go if I had the invite. Yeah, it'd be fun.
It's one of those things that I know that black bears mostly eat bugs and berries and small critters and things like that. But there's that idea that they got claws and teeth and all that type of stuff. They are a predator.
Yep.
Whereas a deer is not. And even though you went firearm hunting for them, right?
Rifle, yep.
I don't know. That'd be a different thing where all of a sudden it's like, a deer runs at me. I know I just have to get out of the way, right? That's not going to be, but a bear runs at me. Then there's some other options on the table for him and thought process that goes into the, what do I do? What do I do now? And I don't know, after you take a shot at a bear, they come running at you. Play dead is the right thing to do or not, but who knows? Anyway.
Well, I think the black bears, you're just supposed to make yourself big. But what the trick is with where we're hunting is there's both black bears and grizzlies. So you want to make sure you're shooting at the right thing.
There were grizzlies in that area.
Yep. There's known to be grizzlies in our area.
So the grizzlies are the one that would be a little bit more afraid
Yeah, I've seen the revenant. Exactly. Well, I know that my brother and his buddy have hunted both bear and elk in Montana. And they really keep track of grizzly sightings in different hunting areas because you don't want to mess with them.
Nope.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. So, wow, to say the least. All right. So you mentioned firearm. What kind of rifle were you using?
Yep. So 308.
308.
Nice.
Nice.
308.
Okay.
Yep.
And how far were you, thinking that the shots might be?
So it kind of depended. So in the unit that we hunt, we can bait. So we had bait barrels set up. So we knew what distance, we knew where we were going to sit and where the bait barrels were at. The barrel that I shot my bear off of was 100 yards, but we had them from, 300 all the way down to 50, 60 yards on some of them. So
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah. Close.
Interesting, which is, it's one of those things baiting means different things. And obviously there you're talking big chunks of timber and bear population density is probably pretty low, would be my guess. It's not like going to a, like you said, southern states where they've got all sorts of food and or the dump. That's the other place I've seen a lot of bears.
I think we did a Google because we were curious. And I think it said 1 bear per square mile for the state of Idaho. So I imagine they're a little bit more dense where we're at just because it's more, they like that heavy timber, it seems. But
okay.
And what was the bait? The bait is the most fun.
The bait has a story. Okay, so the bait for us was donuts. So before we go on the trip, we do
donuts.
Yeah, we do what we call
They
quote
can do
unquote
everything.
donut shopping, and we go to our local Dunkin' Donuts and just see what they have in their dumpsters, and we just snatch out a couple bags of donuts if they got them.
Now, I don't know how to ask this without getting kind of gross. More the smell, the better for bears, or are they just?
Yep, more the smell, the better for bears.
They like Dunkin' Donuts. Did you try other brands?
We did, what's the?
Krispy Kreme.
Krispy Kreme, yeah, we did Krispy Kreme.
Oh.
Their dumpsters seem to be the best, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, they had, because it was only donuts in those trash bags. You didn't have to, like, pull out other stuff. That's the not fun part.
So you had to donut shop in the dumpsters,
yep.
and then sometimes pull out all the other stuff,
Well,
which
yeah,
included...
I don't know, like wrappers and cups and other assorted trash.
Have you ever just went there and asked, hey, can we have your day olds? But
Yes.
they may not, some of those businesses won't give you day olds.
Usually I think that there's somewhat a negative connotation with hunting for some people. And so I think some of those larger businesses don't want to be associated with potentially giving out donuts.
If I give you this day old donut.
They're okay if it disappears out of the dumpster, but they're not going to get, which I guess there's some folks that might be sensitive to that. So, was there glazed, chocolate covered, sprinkled? What, I mean, did the bear show any preference?
They didn't seem to care.
They didn't seem to care.
But we didn't sort it, like this is going to be the glazed barrel. So.
You'd have to just like set like a pie and divide it out and see which one would they nibble on first.
Yeah. Well, from my childhood anyway, I would just think you would need these little crockeries out there that say honey on them, and then a bear in a red shirt would probably come by and or picnic baskets if you want one with a green hat.
Yeah. So no, donuts was one of the main parts. We also you can use honey. Like you mentioned, syrup.
Sweet.
Yeah. You can melt. Previous years, we've taken corn and melted like peanut butter and marshmallows and mixed that all up.
This is starting to sound pretty complicated here.
Yeah.
Lost me at melting.
Dog food, apparently that's something that people use.
Some people, go find old fryer grease from some of the fast food places or restaurants.
Yep.
You guys use any of that?
We did, yeah. So I don't know if I should name them, but there's a Chinese place that was kind enough to give us some grease. Yeah.
So
at least you didn't.
So we smell like orange chicken, in the woods of Idaho.
Mix this stuff up, or do you just put the donuts there and then dump things on top of it?
Yeah. So you can use up to, I believe, 55-gallon barrels. So we have big.
That's a lot.
We have 50. Yeah, we have big barrels. We discovered that if you use the smaller ones, it's just as effective. So we have some 55, but we also have some smaller ones that are like a third of the size.
Julie, I've packed for hunting trips, and they have included donuts. It hasn't required 55-gallon drums full of, used grease or oils or things like that. So this is different.
Yeah,
it's different. Yeah.
So got a truck, a trailer. How are you getting all this stuff out there?
A large trailer. So they took my husband and my father-in-law have kind of engineered a fancy trailer for this kind of situation. So there's it's supposed to be a dump trailer, but they moved, I guess, the hydraulics for this dump trailer became what opened like the top lid of our trailer. So there's kind of like a lid on top that four-wheelers were drove onto.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then below we stowed like all of our totes and stuff, a freezer with a generator.
Oh.
Yeah.
They are
all the barrels and our tent and
So it's good to have the bait that smells.
Yep.
They can pick that up from a distance and find it. Are your clothes, are you trying to be scent free, or are you okay to smell like a donut in a Chinese restaurant?
Yes. I think we tried to kind of watch our scent. Honestly, though, we camped the whole time up in the mountains, like tent camped. So there's limited ability to shower, I guess. So that's kind of, I guess, the scent that we're really trying to fight mostly. We set up like, one of those bag showers, but that's about all we could do there. And then some of those like deer scent elimination stuff, we tried like spraying that on clothes and stuff, but I'm not sure how.
You just have to
important
play
or-
the wind most part.
Yeah,
Just staying
yeah, you're
downwind.
playing the wind. Yeah.
Now walk us through this, because I don't know, on public ground, then how do you choose what areas to put those barrels and those feed sites in? Are you having to backpack it in, or are you able to drive up to most of them?
Yeah, so most all of them, I'm trying to think. Yeah, most all of them we backpack it in.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of it is driving around on 4-wheelers on the trails and then kind of looking for spots where it may work. You want kind of water down in the bottom of wherever you're going to put it. You want to kind of pay attention to your elevations. As it gets hotter, I guess the bears will go up farther, higher in the mountain because it is cooler. Yeah, and then you're looking for away from people also. So there's a lot of recreation that happens on the weekends, and so you kind of want to stay away from those more regularly traveled roads.
I bet the bears are
yeah,
avoiding
they
that
don't.
as well.
They do, yeah.
And how long off, I assume there's other people also setting up some sites around there.
Yep.
How long does it take a bear to start using an area? Did you guys have to put it out there a week or two before, or was it at the beginning of the trip and then at the end you started seeing bears?
Yeah, so it very much depends. The first priority when we get there is always setting up those barrels because, like you said, it may take, and for us, the fastest one I think took 2 days, and the longest was like 5 or 6 days.
How long was your trip again?
So it was 9 days. I think 9 or 10 days we were on the mountain. We got up there on a Saturday and then hunted till the next week and then a Monday. So 10 days I think we were up there.
Okay.
Yep.
And so the shortest one took 2 days. What about the longest?
So the longest, by the time we because we couldn't get all the barrels set up that very first day. So I think 5 or 6 days. And then we've also had where we've set up 1 year and we'll set up again in that same spot the next year, and it'll get hit that next year, but wouldn't have gotten hit that first year. So I think sometimes it's weather dependent too.
Yeah. And how far apart are the barrels or the areas that you're sitting in?
So we try to keep stuff a mile or two apart, but it's tricky because up in those mountains, those roads kind of weave all over. And so as the crow flies, you may be a mile or two away, but as your drive is, it's, 4-mile drive between them. So that's kind of stuff we pay attention to. It depends on, I guess, also we have people that we go with. We try to stay away from their barrels and stuff. Some of it's just like, there's a good spot here, so we're just going to do it. And if it pulls the same kind of bears, like it's just another, I guess, kind of chance to get a bear. So maybe they're like one spot over the other.
Now, can bears find it that very first night? Does it take them a couple of days? Do you put a camera on it? I guess is the other.
Yeah. So we put a trail cam on it, and then we also, so you bait your barrel, and then you put pretty good sized like logs, almost like sticks, but they're like log size, like 4 or 5 inch logs in there, and you put those in the hole that's in the front, so that if a bear has come through to eat, because they pull those logs out before they can eat food. But if you don't get big enough logs, then you'll get crows and like big birds or elk that'll try to pull stuff out. So
that's fine.
Yep.
They probably get kind of destructive on those barrels too.
Yeah, so we attach them to a tree or bush or something usually.
Or your barrel will be tossed around.
Yeah. Well, they'll just take it with them. Yeah. So, yep.
Fast food. Peace out.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was gonna say I've had raccoons grab bait
Yeah.
piles and things like that and just disappear. Oh, that is interesting. All right, so you got set up. What temperature was it out there? Was it nice and cold for you in the mornings, or did it get real hot?
So it very much depended. The first night we were there, we didn't do any hunting. All we did was set up our tent, and it was snowing that day. So it was like 36 degrees maybe, and just like, snow like you wouldn't believe. And it didn't really amount to much, but it snowed like crazy. And then by the end of the trip, we're at like 80 degrees during the day.
So it's like Nebraska this week.
Yeah.
The roller coaster.
Yep.
All right.
45 at night. Just kind of depends.
Oh, beautiful. That would have been beautiful for camping, though.
Yeah, for camping. It's nice. We have a stove that we'll get started in our tent. So
because you were using the traditional wall tent and all that.
Yep. We had it's actually an old military tent that we got. So
cool.
Yep.
Sleeping on cots and all that.
Yeah. Yep, cots.
Pretty comfortable. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so walk us through an average hunt. Let's start on day one. What time you getting up?
Day one for hunting or day one for barrel set?
hunting now.
Day
Let's
one
get
for
to the
hunting.
Let's
Okay.
get I'm ready for the hunting.
You're ready for the
Hunting.
Okay, so we generally we're not hunting in the mornings.
Really?
Yeah. We had heard the locals claim that the bears don't really want to be active in the morning. However, one of the bears that were shot on this trip was a morning bear, so I don't know.
Rule breaker.
I don't know how accurate that is. But it gets light really early. So I think that the day that he shot that bear, he was up at like 4:30. So if you're gonna hunt the morning, you're up at 4:30 in the morning and you go and sit. But for me, I didn't hunt any mornings. So my day was wake up at 7 o'clock. The sun is like fully shining at this point. Make some breakfast, just kind of hang out. Usually we were going to then check all of our barrels to see if any of them had gotten hit. Because sometimes in the middle of the night, they'll come and kind of find the barrels.
Sure.
So we'd check barrels, and then, it kind of depended. If we're going to go shoot, make sure guns are sighted in, or look for new spots if we haven't got all the barrels set for one reason or another. And we did some scouting like for upcoming years too on those days.
Okay.
And then we would usually about 4 o'clock or so, we're getting all of our gear on, and we were trying to get to the barrel by 5. Sunsets 8:46, I believe.
Okay, so you're really hunting that evening.
Yeah. Yep.
Stretch.
Yep.
When you say scouting, here in Nebraska, a lot of deer hunters, do they leave trails? Do they follow trails like deer do? I mean, what are you looking for?
So really the scouting just entailed driving around and trying to find, it's really dense woods. So we're looking for, is there water there? Is there a place that we can even sit and then set a barrel across somewhere and have a decent shot? We also were looking for spots where the barrel and the person were kind of on the same elevation, so that because that wind will switch kind of, it seems like in the evening, and it'll start blowing up the mountain. So you don't want it goes down the mountain. I don't remember. Down, I think.
One of those two. I was going to say here, as it cools, your scent is pulled down.
Yep. So I think it was going down. So then we didn't want the barrel down the mountain, and we're sitting up because then it's blowing that scent right to them. So we're trying to look for honestly, it sounds like it would be easy, like, we'll just throw out all these barrels, but it's so densely wooded that it's very difficult to find spots where there's water in the bottom, you're away from people, and there's 2 spots where you can sit that isn't 500 yards away and a not very easy shot. So
okay, all right. So first evening, you get out there about 5 o'clock.
Yep.
Just sit and wait.
We just sit and wait. Yep. I would set up. I have a tripod that I put my gun on, and so I'd set all that stuff up and bring a bunch of layers because you're usually hot when you get there. I'd have a sweatshirt that I had put on for the 4-wheeler drive because that makes you cold. You can take it off. Get sat down, and we brought our dog this year, so I'd try to get him situated so he would just hang out with us.
Really? On a bear hunt?
Yep.
A bear dog.
Yeah, bear dog.
I hadn't thought about that. So when you drive the 4-wheeler in, how far from where you park it to where you walk? Are you trying to distance that a little bit, or does the sound they're used to that?
They're pretty used to the sound because people drive around doing all sorts of different recreation. Okay. But we would try to park more so just for people not knowing exactly where we're at. But we would park a little ways away. And then on some of them, there was no option. You couldn't have drove any closer. So it kind of depended. Some of them were 100 yards away where we parked. Some of them were, 25 yards maybe.
All right. Well, before we get into the actual hunt, another question popped in my head. Restrictions on bears you can take. I assume there's probably some.
Yes.
Such as no, mama bear with cubs.
Yep.
Or something
No sows with
lines.
Cubs. Yep. That's really the only restriction for what you can and can't shoot.
Okay.
So.
Because I know Hunter was talking about it had to be so high at the shoulder, so he had to he had to figure out how to gauge that.
And was he able to bait? Why do I feel like he was not able to?
They had different.
dogs.
They could. Yeah, there was in Wisconsin, if I remember right. We'll have to go back and listen, or our folks out there can. I believe that it kind of changed every other year. Who got to go first? Those that used hounds, those that baited, that type of thing. So yeah, I think you had a guide or outfitter that helped with that.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think there's unit to unit requirements on the baiting and dogs for Idaho.
Oh, I bet so.
Yeah.
I bet so. So as long as it's not a sow with cubs, it was fair game.
It was fair game.
So did you set a standard? All right, it's got to be this, it's got to be that. Are there a lot of color phases in the black bear there in Idaho, or?
Yeah, There seems to be a lot of variation. Honestly, though, I had not seen a bear until this year. And the bear that I shot was the only bear that I have ever actually seen. So my only requirement. So
bears, you might want to keep that in mind. She's seen one of you and she shot it.
Yes. No, my only requirement was that it was a bear.
A bear?
It didn't have cubs. So, no.
I get that way in deer season too. It's okay.
After a while,
a lot of deer hunters, despite what we say, "Yeah, I'm holding out for the big trophy buck," and then a buck. All right, first deer I see.
Yep,
there she is.
Yeah.
But okay, so the first night you're sitting there with the dog.
Yep, I'm with the dog, and my husband would sit with me as well. So
all right.
There's mountain lions, wolves.
You got a dog to help protect
bears,
you if it goes bad, and a husband that runs slower than you do if things really get worse. So now, do you hear bears coming? Do you see them before? I mean, so thick, or they make noise?
I was told that I would hear the bear. That ended up not being the case for the bear that I shot. So I don't really know what to keep stalking anymore, because it seems like, don't hunt mornings, you won't see bears. You'll hear them. Yeah, so I don't know. Some of it's kind of just, I think it happens different depending on like where you're sitting.
Oh, I bet so.
And I mean, kind of the wind direction and all that stuff.
So any action that first night?
No action the first night.
No action the first night. Are there birds coming down trying to get in there? Any squirrels in the area trying to sneak a donut?
All of the ground squirrels, yeah. And actually, that was really exciting for our dog. We had to kind of try to contain.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet so.
Those ground squirrels were kind of, messing with him. He was like, so yeah, no, nothing that first night. Honestly, there was nothing many of the nights. We saw elk some nights. That was pretty cool. We saw grouse. That was cool.
Oh, I bet some different types of grouse.
Yeah.
Maybe rough or spruce or. Ooh.
Yeah, and I don't know. They were so quick, that we didn't really get a good look at them.
Yeah,
but yeah.
A little flighty. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Saw moose.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's my dream, is to go hunt moose. Moose.
We had a mom and a baby, so that was really cool.
I bet so.
That is neat. So how many nights did you sit then?
Okay, let's see. I honestly don't know. I haven't thought about it. Probably 6 or 7 nights. I was getting pretty. I was not convinced that there was bears almost by the end.
Idaho was bearless.
This is the second time, right?
This is my third time, and I hadn't seen bears, so I was like, I don't know if they're lying to me or. Anybody
in your camp seeing bears?
Yeah. So my father-in-law had shot a bear. Maybe 3 nights in, and so I knew they existed, but I hadn't seen any. And then one of his other buddies had shot a bear, I think, by that point. Honestly, part of it too, guys, is the days blur together when you don't have cell service. Like you don't, I'm not on the Facebook, Instagram, so I'm like trying to remember which day was what, and it just kind of, it all blurs.
I don't know. I think we all need a reset like that.
Yeah.
It can be nice to be in a spot that doesn't have wireless, your phone doesn't work, all that.
It was awesome.
You're forced to do some stuff.
Yeah.
Were your bait piles showing signs of bears coming through?
Yeah, so we had a couple barrels actually that had been hit. What's what we call it? Been hit. And it'd be my father-in-law's buddy was sitting on that barrel. I mean, just like night and day practically. And every time he would sit there, wouldn't have any bears. And that was the same barrel that my father-in-law had shot his bear on. We had another barrel that we had a sow and cubs, so obviously we can't shoot her, but those little cubs on the trail cam were pretty dang cute. They're like little basketball-sized bears.
That's a good question. Again, not having bear hunted. So when a mom with little ones shows up, does she kind of keep other bears away, or do you likely to have multiple different bears hitting it at different times?
So it seemed we never had her in person. We never got to see her. We just had her on our trail cam. And I think she was the only one at that barrel. But when we've had multiple bears, they seem to all be there at kind of different times. Okay. And it seems to kind of be the age somewhat. I think like the younger bears don't really quite know when they're supposed to be doing what, almost it seems like they were there,
random.
Early morning. Yeah, random. They just they hadn't had like a set routine yet. Whereas Mama Bear is taking her babies in there at 2 a.m. She knows, I'm not gonna be out in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So walk us through that. It was an evening hunt when you got your bear.
Yes.
You're sitting there again with the dog and husband.
So we left the dog back at camp for this hunt because we were really close quarters. The previous barrel we had sat at was like 250 yards, and we were kind of up on a hill, which we discovered we didn't like because of the wind. We hadn't had that figured out quite till this year.
Oh, okay.
So we had been bringing him until this hunt where I shot the bear, and we were 100 yards. We were kind of on the same like plane as well. So it was an old road that they had bulldozed in at some point. So it can't be driven on. I mean, you can kind of hike into it, but it was nice because it's really flat. And the other thing you're thinking about when you're setting these barrels is how am I going to get this bear out if I shoot it? So this spot was nice because it's all leveled out, having been a road at one point. And we kind of had taken a bunch of brush and kind of like made a little pile, and we sat kind of behind that pile. So it's just me and the husband this night. So
same elevation, a little closer.
Yep.
But good spot. It's one you've got marked now for years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I pulled up my Onyx and was like, star.
All right. How long had it been sitting before all of a sudden?
Oh, gosh. 4 hours, probably 4 or 5. Probably 4. So we sat probably that night. We probably got down there at 5, and I shot him like 5 minutes before sunset-ish. Oh. So it was already 8:40 by the time.
But you didn't hear him coming?
Mm-mm. So we're sitting there, and the bugs are terrible this year. I've never seen bugs like this in Idaho before, but the gnats were everywhere that night. And so I had like pulled up my sweatshirt and like a little face shield and had like just my eyes kind of showing. And so I can't really hear very good because I had my hood up, and my husband had said like, oh, there's a bear coming, like get ready. So I had got all ready, and then it turned out to be a moose. So it was a false alarm. And so at this point, also in the hunt, I'm just like, I don't know why I'm still sitting here. That's not going to happen. Yeah. I was like, I was getting pretty low and sad, and I was like, it's just not. This isn't the year. But and I was looking down at something. I think I was just trying to keep my head down so the bugs would leave me alone. And I glance up at the barrel, and sure enough, there's a bear standing right at our barrel, just eating, snacking away. And so I don't remember if I even turned my husband, but I immediately got set up on my gun, and I'm like,
got on the
there's
sticks
a bear. Yeah. Like, there's a bear. He goes, shoot it. Working on it.
That's a typical husband, I think. Response, shoot it.
100 yards?
100 yards, yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
That's nice.
Yeah, so then he hops up, and he's like, okay, where did you see it? I'm like, I don't actually remember the shot. Like, I'm like, I remember lining everything up, and then all of a sudden,
boom,
I was like, holy cow, like, it just happened so quick. So he's jumping up. He's like, where'd it go? I'm like, I have no idea. I have no idea.
But it felt like a good shot.
It felt like a good shot. I had remembered, like, I had all lined it all up, and that trigger, it, like they say, it should surprise you, right? Like, I'm not trying to punch it. So yeah, it surprised me, and he's like running down there, and I was like, are we going to wait for somebody? Or are we just going to go? It's like, and it was getting dark. So his thing was he didn't want to have to go try to find it in the dark. And I think he thought that I had a good shot on it. So we jump up, he grabs his pistol, and we load another round in my rifle, and we go and we look, and he's colorblind, so he can't really help me with the blood trail. So so we get down there. He's like, do you see any blood? I'm looking. I'm like, oh yeah, there's blood. So I know I'd hit it at this point. And I think generally they run downhill, I guess, when they get shot.
All right, probably quicker, easier.
Yeah, I guess. So I followed a little bit of blood, I don't know, maybe 5 yards or so, and I kind of looked down the hill kind of into some woods, but it's woods that aren't like thick all the way down to the bottom. There's kind of like a line where they start that thickness.
Okay.
So I can see kind of through see
down at the base of everything.
Down at the base of everything, and we just see a big black heap, and I was like, oh, there it is. So
really,
it made it maybe 20 yards from where I shot it.
Oh my goodness, that's pretty impressive, because deer vitals are a little further back. That's what we all teach and talk about. Bear vitals a little bit farther forward in the shoulder. So you really I hit him hard in the right spot.
I had tucked it once we got down to him. We could see where I'd hit. I hit him like right behind his shoulder blade, and definitely a heart shot. There was nothing left of that.
Wow,
that's nice.
Yep.
And I have no idea if is that an average distance for them to run. I figured they'd run further.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. I think probably if I was shooting maybe farther back and there wasn't quite as much punch behind that, I don't know if it would have gone farther. I don't know if the size of the bear, I assume.
Which again, Julia, changes it completely. Blood trailing a deer here in Nebraska is one thing, because at the end of it, there's going to be a deer, right?
Yeah.
As you're trailing, especially in the dark, trailing a bear, knowing that there's going to be a bear in one form or another at the end of it, got a little bit different feel to it.
Yeah, it does. And then what are you going to encounter that also smells the blood of that deer?
Oh, yeah.
Or the bear.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Huh? Oh, boy.
Yeah.
And so just laying right there.
Just laying there in a heap. So we pulled him out kind of back onto that road so we could look at him. And he was a good bear for the area. I don't think they get super big, it sounds like. So he was right about average
Super
for that.
furry.
What would you say it weighed?
So we actually did weigh him. We had a scale, but that was after we had gutted him. We weighed him, and he was 133 after we gutted him.
Nice.
So it was decent.
And I know there's
size.
probably some things online. I've done it for deer that says if it weighs this much at this point, it's probably live weight of this.
Yeah, I think I read.
You have
like
pictures? Can you show us
Yes.
pictures?
Yes,
And I don't know if we
I'll
can
show
share these on the YouTube video or not, but I have
You haven't
not
even seen them. Yeah.
So black. Oh wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Yes, he was pretty rubbed. So if you look at kind of his body, he's got a lot of rubbing.
Okay.
So I guess
that's probably pretty normal after they come out of hibernation.
Yeah, in the spring
Scratch
when
that
it's
itchy.
hot.
Yep.
Yep. And then I like this picture of his foot.
Oh.
Ooh, wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and you can see a little bit of sprinkle left in there between the toes from the donuts.
Yeah. Yep. A little sprinkle in there. Yep. And then
I cannot really.
And then we got a picture, the whole crew, me and my husband and the dog. So
Oh, very cool.
our dog was like, "Are you guys sure about this?" Are we
Yeah.
really like, yeah, he was unsure about the bears for
I
sure.
I don't blame him a bit.
What did you do with what are you going to do with him now? Or the meat? And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
Did you have it mounted or?
Yep. So we skinned him out, and then I have his like front arms and legs, and then we've talked about canning them. So you got to be careful with bear because you can get trichinosis from their meat.
Just like that?
What?
What is that?
It's a parasite.
Okay.
So their meat can, and I think I believe you can get it from contact with them as well, not just from the meat itself.
Okay.
So you want to wear gloves and stuff. You can get the same thing actually from pork as well.
Pork, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So from wild pigs.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So have you had some bear then already?
We did. We were careful to make sure that it was completely cooked, but there's a certain temperature you're supposed to get it. There's somewhat of a discussion as to what temperature.
Exactly what that is.
Yeah. Get it cooked really well. And yeah, we had some. It was good. So
What'd you make?
we just did some little bear steaks.
Bear steaks.
Cool.
Bear steaks from a tenderloin. Yep.
So I've been told, I think it's black bear is a little bit fattier meat. Is that true on your bear?
On my bear, yeah, he had a lot of fat. And
Yeah, I
so,
ate the donuts.
yeah, the donuts.
Donuts will do that to you.
The
Donuts and Chinese.
And the
Yeah.
Chinese fryer grease, yeah.
Oh.
So we skinned him and I have the meat. I think the plan is probably just to get his hide maybe tanned, and
cool.
then to do maybe Euro mount for his skull, maybe keep a
Okay.
couple of the claws. I don't know. Since he's rubbed, I don't think I'll do like a rug.
A fur on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then that might be pretty tough. Now, where you hunt, is there a fall season as well then?
Yep, there is. There's a fall season.
Thoughts
as
about
well.
going back?
I would love to keep going, and I don't know fall. It's a lot of time off of work. I will say, my boss was not excited. So
Oh, that your boss should be thrilled that you're going out.
she
and
loved
hunting.
that I hunt. She was sad that I left for a while, but no, it's a lot of being gone from work, just even from the house.
Well, in the preparation in advance.
And the
as well.
preparation and
Well, driving everything out there. I mean, it's not like Idaho borders Nebraska
no, it was a long drive.
by close proximity. So
No, and we stopped to pick up the father-in-law's buddy in Bartley, Nebraska. So it was like a little side trip to pick him up. I
Where
think it
in
was
Bartley or Bartlett?
Bartley.
Oh, okay.
Bartley.
close.
Close. Sounds close. Mm-hmm.
Close.
Yeah. So
See, folks, we know Julia either is related to or knows somebody in just about all 93 counties here in Nebraska.
my
Just about at least a town or two
Just a tick exaggeration, but
in
close.
every county. I don't know. Oh. So, well, congratulations, first and foremost. Got to be exciting.
Absolutely.
You say you got one, your father-in-law got one.
And
husband?
Husband didn't shoot one this year.
Well, somebody's got to carry the dead weight.
Yeah. No.
And a buddy.
And then his buddy, yep. And then there was 2 of my husband's buddies that also shot bears. They camped right next to us, but they weren't in our car driving back and forth or the pickup driving back and forth. So I think I separate them in my... So
what makes an ideal season out there? Obviously, them hibernating still doesn't work.
Nope.
Wet weather, colder weather, not too cold.
Yeah, don't want
rainy,
the wet. No
don't
rain.
want the... Really?
It rained on us. The first year we hunted, it rained all week. And it was not for... I think it messes with the scent distribution, like trying to get that scent.
Brings it down.
Yep, and that water seems to wash away all of that fryer grease.
Oh, sure. So, okay, all right.
Yeah.
So it decreases that. Oh, wow. Well, this sounds like quite the adventure.
Yeah.
You might have to take a camera next time and
I got
a GoPro.
Yeah.
And get some video.
Yeah.
Of this type
cool.
of stuff.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't that be cool to see some moose, all the different birds coming in and out, the magpies and whatnot.
The only uncool thing about the moose is we actually did have a bull moose that came into camp one morning. The last morning we were packing up about 6 a.m. the dogs. So we had our dog, and then his 2 buddies that drove up separate, they had a dog, and both the dogs were barking and just losing their mind. And yeah, we had a bull moose in camp. And like 2 steps away from our tent, like in camp, not just like we can see him. Which
is definitely interesting because, compared to black bear, moose are a little bit more unpredictable and big. They don't probably bow to anybody except perhaps grizzly bears, or a big pack of wolves. But I mean, they just kind of know I'm big and you're not big enough, type thing. So,
so you just sat in the car and waited for him to leave, or?
Well, no, we were just in our tent. We actually at one point, probably not very smartly, popped out of the tent and we're taking pictures of him, trying to keep the dogs calm. And
you survived.
Yeah.
But that was something as childhood, watching the cartoons. You did not think moose were as ornery and as aggressive as they can be. You thought, they're just big deer.
Yeah.
Nope.
And he was really cool. He was in full velvet, and so he was really cool looking.
Yeah. All right. I can't think of anything more, though. I'm sure I will a little bit later, but this is pretty cool looking to your hunt.
Any inspiration to the listeners as far as if they want to look into going bear hunting?
Oh, gosh. I would just say
especially female.
Go do it. I really surprised myself, I think, with all of the... I mean, some of those, like, you just get to the point where you're just like, I can't do this anymore, but making yourself continue on. I mean, now I look back and I'm so glad and kind of amazed, like, wow, I did something I thought that I couldn't do. I mean, not many, especially females, can say that they've shot black bears. So I think that's pretty cool. It's a lot of work, but it's the reward at the end, having waited 3 years to finally shoot one. I think it almost makes it even better.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was so hard fought getting there. So.
And this is our second bear topic or episode for She Goes Outdoors, because we had interviewed Tana Wagner and she went bear hunting. Hers was in Colorado, and I don't think they were able to bait there.
Yeah,
no, might not have been.
No.
Yeah, every area is a little different. Every state separate. So
no, I would say do some research and don't let the cost of like trying to get an outfitter dissuade you. I mean, we did it all by ourselves. We never had an outfitter or a guide, and I mean, looking at the different states and kind of the areas where baiting is possible, or if you aren't, you don't want to bait, then look for somewhere where you're not supposed to. And I mean, areas where there's lots of bears. I mean, the fact that they would give us another tag kind of indicated to us, like, probably got plenty of bears. Yeah.
Got some bears.
Yep.
That is true. I do think you hit the nail on the head in that sometimes we get nervous about the situation as a whole. Mm-hmm. If we just start taking those first little steps and finding out and give it a go, one, you're going to have an experience, whether, educational and what have you, fun, hopefully. But obviously, it's not as intimidating as you think it is at first.
Yeah, and the other thing, I think that I talk about, like, we went bear hunting, we camped up there, and many people are like, oh my gosh, and you're just like out in the woods with these, wolves and mountain lions and bears and all this stuff, which we are. But when you're there, it doesn't feel, because black bears really don't want to interact with you if they can help it. The same thing with mountain lions. I mean, you rarely see those interactions happening. And wolves really are pretty, I mean, we've never seen a wolf
sparse
in the time that we're up there. And the grizzlies is a possibility, but I mean, you just have you've thought about it, right? You're prepared. You know what, should this happen, this is what I'm going to do.
You have to put your food, not the bait food, but your food up in a tree, or how do you handle that?
We had that freezer. So a lot of our stuff was frozen in that freezer. And then we have we have coolers that we're pulling it and putting it into. And we're like locking those up, and then we just burn all of our trash. So we don't incentivize anyone to come dig in.
All right. So it doesn't give them much to zero in on anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Absolutely.
It's pretty cool. I don't know about you, Julia, but this has got me a little bit more intrigued by black
I was
bear.
ready to go. I wasn't afraid of the black bear.
No.
I'm afraid.
Don't be afraid.
No.
It's super fun. I think for me, like the really enjoyable part was actually setting up those barrels, because you're hiking around and you just have such a beautiful scenery for all of that hard work. That's your backdrop, is just spectacular views. And so,
well, putting up trail cameras, which I know a lot of listeners are probably doing right now, seeing what deer are in velvet and what's using their area this early. And I know next month in August, it's even going to be more so as the archery deer season gets really close. There's something kind of fun about that. What's going to happen? What is this going to entail? Yep. You don't feel the pressure of being on the hunt. Yes. And having to make things happen, perhaps. But here, you're just like, I'm just going to see what's happening.
And
the bait's probably that potential. What's going to come into it?
It's that possibility, that potential, that really keeps
awesome.
you going. What if there's one tonight that comes in?
That's awesome. Well, I think we're going to have to put a bow on this one.
Okay,
Julia.
yep.
We're going to see how this joint, She Goes Outdoors, Hunt
it.
Nebraska thing works out. But thank you, Megan, for coming in and sharing your experiences. And hopefully we've spurred some interest and excitement in some of our listeners to try something new and different. We probably won't be bear hunting in Nebraska anytime soon.
No.
But that doesn't mean you can
either.
expand your horizon to other states, because a lot of folks do.
Yeah, lots of pretty places to explore out there for sure.
And so now you got to get back to work, because you've been gone for so long, it sounds like that.
Yep.
Got to go be productive. But thanks again.
Of course.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks for having me.
All right. We appreciate you guys all listening to us or watching us on YouTube out there. Be sure to give us a big thumbs up, subscribe, whether it's She Goes Outdoors or Hunt Nebraska, so when you know when each and every one of these podcasts becomes available. But until next time, we'll see you outdoors.
Hunt Nebraska, brought to you by your Nebraska Game and Parks Commission.